JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So should you file for PPP forgiveness for the amount that you got in 2020? I'd have one question for you. Have you reviewed carefully if you qualify for the employee retention tax credit? And if so, have you claimed that credit? When you claim the credit, you then designate the wages that you're going to use to achieve that tax credit. That tax credit is in 2020 up to 50% of wages for each qualifying employee during the qualified time. Now in 2020, it's for the entire year per employee that you get to count up to 10,000 of qualified wages at a 50% tax credit. Pretty exciting. When the CARES Act first came out with PPP, it did include the employee retention tax credit last March of 2020. But when it came out, it was an either or. You either got PPP or you got ERTC. You were not able to get both. When the tax law or the stimulus law came out on December 27th of 2020, it was then determined that you can do and have both benefits. The key here is that the IRS and the SBA have made it very clear in their instructions that you can take advantage of both, just not on the same payroll, which means this, that if you take any payroll for any employee down to a 15-minute segment, you can either use those wages to fulfill your obligations for PPP purposes to achieve forgiveness, or you can use those wages for obtaining the employee retention tax credit. So you could have an employee and in the afternoon their wages would and can be used for PPP, and for that same employee their wages in the morning could be used for ERTC. They just can't be used for both. When you're now looking at PPP forgiveness, you just want to ensure that the wages you're going to include in your PPP forgiveness calculation are not also eligible for the ERTC, because once you file for PPP forgiveness, you have locked in those wages for PPP purposes. So it's basically strategically looking at it and ensuring that you do not qualify for the employee retention tax credit during your covered period in 2020. Once you make that determination, then you can file for PPP forgiveness. In my opinion, you would want to probably double check there's not some other reason. But from my perspective, we are now telling our clients, because my clients, we have achieved the ERTC for 2020, meaning we have determined if they are eligible, and then we have filed for that, and we have deemed those wages on a Form 941 or Form 941X. Those wages have been deemed for ERTC purposes. So now we know the wages that are available for PPP. If you're going to get into a real analysis, I do have a seminar on the ERTC that you can have instant access to. I'll give you a link to that. It's an extensive seminar with PDF, PowerPoint, and a number of Excel spreadsheets on how to calculate it and gross receipts, but also includes how you can analyze to determine, number one, what's more valuable, ERTC or PPP to you, and second, how to strategically take the wages that you have when you're in your covered period and, in essence, break them out to take advantage of both to the maximum that is allowed, which is basically up to you to really make sure that you're getting your hands around this. So with PPP forgiveness, if you've already achieved the employee retention tax credit, then I see no reason to continue to wait. Now, PPP forgiveness applications are not due until 10 months after your covered period. So in 2020, I don't know why you would take a covered period anything other than 24 weeks. So it would be 24 weeks plus 10 months. For most, that would be in July or August when your PPP forgiveness application is due. I've got a number of videos on the PPP forgiveness. I'm going to give you a link to the SBA website. You will see a section about PPP forgiveness. The instructions have wonderful details, calculations. I have a ton of videos on the PPP forgiveness related to that. But hopefully, if you are wondering, should you go ahead and file now for PPP forgiveness, this has helped you out. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, have a great one.